Good morning, students. So today we will complete the rest of the forest resources that we were discussing last class, right? So today we will start discussing from this part. That is the main reasons for large-scale depletion of forests. So in my last video, I talked about forest resources and the direct as well as the indirect use of forests in our lives. If you forget, then you can go through my last video that I have already uploaded. Now, today we will talk about the depletion of forests. Now, what is the reason that forests are being cleared out? The main reason we all know, it is urbanization and industrialization and overpopulation. These are the three terms that is very common in today's society. Urbanization, industrialization, we are clearing out forests in order to meet our needs, to satisfy our needs, to fulfill our demands, but in alternately we are not thinking about the trees at all. So the first point here is this only: expansion of agriculture. Why expansion of agriculture? Obviously, I told you the term, that is overpopulation. If the population has increased, that means the demand for food has also increased. So in order to meet that high demand for food, I need to increase the forest cover, the agricultural land cover. So that is why we are cutting down trees. Next point is that only, that is large areas of forest have been cleared for urbanization and human settlement. People are also nowadays settling in forests. Why? There are tribal peoples, there are some people in the nearby forests, so that sometimes like trade activities also happens in the forest. Next comes forest fires. Forest fires is one of the natural phenomenon actually, right? But we can also have a control on that. Mining activities is one of the, again, one environmentally destructive activity that we carry out again to meet our needs. Mining activities have a lot of environmental destruction. It causes air pollution, it causes water pollution, it has a lot of things. Acid mine drainage is one of the important thing that happens in mining. Okay, so for mining only, we are clearing out forests to have mining land. Forest diseases or natural phenomena are also there which we cannot control, but that also destroys forest to a large extent. Now, adverse effects of depletion of trees. Obviously, we are cutting down trees, so they will have an effect on us. The main important thing that we are facing is the increased rate of carbon dioxide. Why? Because trees absorb carbon dioxide, right? And protects us from that. Carbon dioxide is a very harmful gas, not only for human beings, but also for entire living organisms as well as the environment. It increases, it is one of the important greenhouse gas, right? It increases the greenhouse effect, which in turn increases the temperature and global warming. So the first point is that only it has contributed to rise in temperature. The temperature has risen. It has contributed to lesser precipitation. Last class, I have talked about the indirect use of forests, where I have discussed about the indirect uses. There I have told you that forests stops the rain-bearing winds and causes precipitation. If the trees are not there, who will control the rain-bearing winds, right? Increased rate of soil erosion. Plants are not there. Their roots are not holding the soil firmly in their position. As a result, soil erosion happening. Increase in the frequency and volume of floods. Trees control floods. If the trees are not there, floods will happen. Loss of soil productivity. Soil productivity, if the soil is not there, there is soil erosion. Then the fertile soil will also move away, right? Loss of biodiversity. Now again an important one. Why? Because forests are a home to millions and billions of species and animals and birds, right? If I'm clearing out forests, their habitats are being cleared out. They are migrating to some other places. And we all know sometimes, like whenever we also move to one place to other place, or animals move from one place to another place, that is, they do migration, they have to adapt to the different environments they move into. Sometimes they fail to adapt there. As a result, what happens? They fail to survive. So that has caused extinction. So some of the species have become extinct, vulnerable, endangered, right? And lastly, it has caused an imbalance in the ecosystem. All the ecosystem is destroyed. Why? Because we all know plants are the primary producers. We all depend on plants for our food. Plants are the only living organisms, living stuff who make their own food. They are autotrophic in nature. Since we have already depleted our forest, we'll talk about some conservation strategies here. First one is regulated and planned cutting of trees. Obviously, the trees should be cut, but it should be a planned one. Control over forest fires. I've told you earlier that forest fires are a natural phenomenon, but to some extent, it can also be controlled. Reforestation and afforestation. Reforestation and afforestation. Then development of green belt around cities. Check on mining activities in forest areas. Mining activities can be checked. Protection of existing forests. The forest is ultimately there. We need to protect that. Conservation of threatened species of trees. Social forestry, agroforestry. Development of national parks and game sanctuaries. Development of botanical gardens. Development of seed banks. Forest management. Proper role of government in forest conservation. Now, the last points that is mentioned over here, they include both ex situ and in situ conservation. For those who don't know what is ex situ and in situ conservation, ex situ conservation means we are conserving trees, plants, or any animals outside the natural habitat, and we are providing them an artificial environment to survive with all their needs. And in situ conservation means we are protecting the trees and the plants and the animals in their own habitat in a way. Now I have a question for you. There are two terms that I have used here, that is reforestation and afforestation. Can you tell me what is reforestation and afforestation? Reforestation is actually replantation. That is, if we are cutting down 2 trees, we are again replanting them. Repeated plantation. And afforestation is the opposite of deforestation. Deforestation is cutting down of trees. Afforestation is planting of trees. Both are similar to some extent, but different in a very minor way. So with this, we have actually completed with our forest resources. Next class, we will talk about the question answers, MCQs, as well as the broad questions on this topic. Okay. Thank you.